What's up, good people? Welcome to TajeAstrology. It's time for a little astrology gossip. Let's take a look at these celebrities' astrological placements to see what they're really like behind closed doors, and take a look at the energy that's around them. Yeah, we gonna be all up in their business, but keep in mind that all readings are for entertainment purposes only. So you ready? Let's go. Alright, y'all know what it do. It's time for another reading. And today, we're going to take a look at our brother Tiger Woods. Now, everybody knows who Tiger Woods is, so I don't even have to go into that. But he recently was arrested because he flipped over his SUV. Now, I'm not one to follow Tiger Woods, although, when he first came out, I think everybody was proud of him and was excited. And, I think he really kind of encouraged a lot of people to take a look at golf, right? So he has really made an impact on a lot of us. He is, 4 years younger than me. So, of course, I'm excited this young man is, reaching out in a sport that wasn't typically with black people or Blasian, however you want to say it. But so, like I said, recently he was just arrested for flipping over his vehicle. Now, like I said before, I don't really follow him. I'll kind of, if he hits the news, then, we'll find out what's going on that way. I think the last thing I heard about him is that the divorce or him cheating on his wife, and that was some years ago, right? But with this recent driving under the influence, I've come across some content creators that went into his history. And apparently he has a long history of driving while under the influence. And, some police, body cams have came out. And so I was looking at one of the content creators that was going over his previous body cams. They went over the recent one that just happened. But then, I don't know, he looked fairly young in this one, but I didn't catch how long ago it was. But it was really sad, it was really sad. I guess I didn't know that, brother man was going through it like that. And so what I do, I see everything through the lens of astrology. So I had to pull brother man's chart up. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, when I looked at his chart, I'm expected to see, what I saw, it wasn't what I was expecting. But once I really took a look at it, then I could see what's going on with brother Tiger Woods, right? The first thing that stuck out to me, let's go over his preliminaries. He's a Capricorn sun, right? So that's disciplined, mature. Someone is probably more mature than people his age, right? Then we have Sagittarius moon, right? So that tells me that he probably has a really good heart. Probably is a fun person to be around once you really kind of break through his exterior, right? We have Venus in Scorpio, right? So he's probably very an intense person, right? I know that he had some issues with his wife. I think, like I said, it was some cheating allegations or what have you. He does have Uranus in Scorpio as well. Now, his Jupiter is in Aries, right? And how that stood out to me is that Aries is the focus on self, right? And Jupiter is the expansion of that. He also has Chiron in Aries with Lilith there. And so what that tells me is that he is probably a little bit rebellious, all right? And that there's some type of a wound that may happen to him. Well, his Chiron is at 23 degrees, so maybe not early, but there may be a wound surrounding his self, who he is, his identity, right? And it's retrograde. His Chiron is retrograde. So what that tells me is that he deeply internalizes whatever this wound is about appearance, how he appears, physical, just, Aries also is athletics. So he could be very critical of his athletic ability. I think in one of the police cam footage, he's had mentioned something about having a screw in his leg or some kind of hardware in his leg. I don't know what age that happened. It could have happened around 23. I'm not certain. And then I also see that he is right now having a Chiron return. So that right there is a lot of energy, right? Aries also is accidents. It's car wrecks, that type of deal. Now, when we move to his Jupiter, okay? Not his Jupiter, his Gemini, his house of Gemini. His house of Gemini is short distance travel. And you can see, based on the visual, that it is across Sagittarius, which is long-term or long-distance travel, right? And in his house of Gemini, he has Mars. Mars is ruled by Aries, or Aries is ruled by Mars. It's retrograde, and again, that is accidents, right? Sagittarius, and it's right across there. He also has Neptune in his Sagittarius, right, really, really close to his moon, which is your emotions. And so what this tells me is that Neptune is addictions, right? Is escapism. With it being right next to the moon tells me that he tries to emotionally escape from wherever it is that he is dealing with, because it is touching his house of Aries. With Mars being in his Gemini house, right across from his Sagittarius house, with the moon and Neptune in there, that is driving under the influence. Driving short distance, driving long distance, driving fast. That's also accidents, right? And they both lead back to his self. You got Jupiter there, which is expansion. Lilith there, which is rebellious, right? So it's a pattern of something that he's dealing with on an emotional level. Again, it could have been due to an accident that he had while, doing golf, or something that maybe stopped him from doing golf. But there definitely is a connection there. And like I said, that Jupiter, it points right back to that Sagittarius. And so that Jupiter is expanding whatever it is that he's going through on a mental plane. Because Gemini is the mind, it's communication, it's thoughts. So it's something that he's thinking that has him wrapped up. Then he has Saturn in Leo, right? And it's also retrograde. So he has a lot of planets where he focuses, and he turns all of his thought process inward and it magnifies it. And it's right directly across his Mercury that's in Capricorn. Okay, again, Mercury is communications, is thought process, and it's also travel. And with that Saturn being in retrograde in Leo, I think that is what stops him from saying, okay, because he has money, right? He can buy him a driver where he never has to get behind the wheel, and he can drink until, or whatever he's doing, until his heart is content. But his ego, that Saturn right on that Leo 1 degree, his ego is not going to allow him to do that. And that prevents him from having the level of discipline that he needs in order to discipline himself so that he doesn't keep doing the same thing over and over. Now, going back to that Jupiter in Lilith that's in Aries, right close to his Chiron, right directly across from that, it's Pluto. And to me, it's like it's like there's a battle within himself, a battle to stay balanced and to act within an integrity. But there's a transformation that he has to go through. Because there's also the rebellious. I do believe that he wants to get past this and over this, but there's a certain level of rebellion and ego that is preventing him from that. But what I will say is that he needs to be very, very careful. And that Jupiter in his Aries has really protected him in many different ways, many different times. But he needs to be careful. He really does, because with that Uranus in his Scorpio house, the house of death, he might be running out of the protection of Jupiter. So he really needs to be careful in how he moves and make better choices. And right now, the South Node or the North Node is in his Pisces house. And so hopefully he opens up and goes into some type of therapy. This would be a very good time, and the energy will support him going into some type of therapy or hospitalization or a detox or something along that line. And I don't know, of course, I don't know Tiger Woods, but it's like we've grown up together, him being in the limelight and me watching him. So I really hope for the best for him, because he seemed like he's a good dude, but there's definitely some pain there that he needs to deal with, and hopefully if he goes inside, take time to rest, time to heal, time to recover, and some therapy to address whatever it is that is really bothering him. And it could be related to relationships, because it is right across from his relationship house. Hopefully he'll take that time that he needs for that, so that he can get past this phase. Because again, Jupiter, you don't want to push Jupiter's protection on you, especially when you're dealing in accidents and high speeds, especially with that Aries energy there. I really wish I knew what time he was born so I could see what his ascendant is. But I wonder, if his ascendant is Pisces, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, well, I wish him luck, and, y'all let me know what y'all think. Comment below. Tell me what you think, how you think he's going to do. And again, I do wish him the best. All right? All right. Salute, salute.